I took out my epaulets and I said, this is for you. Hold on to it until you become a pilot and you return it back to me. She cried her eyes out.
And I remember competing in my first school swimming event at the age of 10. And I won the 50 metres freestyle, beating all the girls and boys with 2 hands. And for the first...
feeling
I know,
that must have been.
exactly. And that's it.
Wow.
It was that...
You're making me cry.
I could never get through it completely.
No, I don't blame you. Dubai was founded in 1833, then just a tiny little fishing village on the edge of the desert, simply a resting place for Bedouins. Fast forward nearly 200 years and Dubai is a jewel in the Arabian Peninsula and one of the 7 Emirates of the UAE, famous around the world as the go-to luxury tourist destination. Home to more 5-star hotels than anywhere else on the planet, where locals once dive for pearls, they now shop in luxury malls and dine in the finest Michelin star restaurants. But if you think you know Dubai, that this is all the city is about, then I have news for you. I'm Kate Garraway, and in this series, I'm going to meet people that will open your eyes and your mind to another Dubai, the one that is unheard, to show you what this city and its residents are all about. A place where East meets West, where women can and do lead the way, where science is saving resources and selflessness is saving lives. We'll meet people who want to turn what you think about this city on its head and tell a totally different story about Dubai and its amazing people. I first came to Dubai more than 20 years ago, and there's things you notice straight away. The sunshine, obviously, the stunning skyline, and the food. But something else struck me, surprised me even, and that's the prominence and power women have had in the success story of this incredible city. Dubai has a very strong image. Some people might have preconceptions or misconceptions about what life is like for women here, what we can and can't do. But what if I told you that this place is full of female success stories, a global powerhouse for entrepreneurs and CEOs, both Emirati and expat, who are all women? People like Alam Baluki, who runs the Emirates Literature Foundation, a not-for-profit, non-governmental organisation that supports and nurtures a love of literature in the UAE. She's a young Emirati woman who's an industry trailblazer and at the same time, mum to beautiful Raya. Lovely to be here, lovely to meet you. It's such a beautiful, tranquil space surrounded by wonderful books.
Thank you.
So you're clearly absolutely driven by a passion for literature and reading and what it can do.
Right.
Where did that begin within you?
When I was little, my mother would take me to the Sharjah Book Fair, which is on the oldest book fair here in the UAE, and that's where I used to get my books every year. But I remember the first time that I read a book where the characters resonated with me and I wondered and thought about them long after I'd finished reading the book was when I was 18, and I read a book called Shame. And it was about a young girl who'd moved, I think, from India to the UK with her family. And then she was being pushed into this arranged marriage. And then she runs away, and then her life unfolds. And I just remember thinking about her for a long time after having read that book. And then that book got me to read a series of other books in the same genre, sort of women's struggles and how they overcome them. And I think that's where it really triggered my love for literature and reading. And then over the years, I've always, so I've worked in marketing, I've worked in different industries, but always taken sort of courses in poetry writing, memoir writing, fiction writing, and kind of wherever I was, even if I was traveling or remotely, or whenever I would find the writing course, I would take it. And then obviously with the festival, it's the festival I looked forward to the most all year, and I would take time off whatever job I was doing at the time to make sure I was attending, I was volunteering, I was moderating talks with authors. So I always had that sort of connection to the festival long before I joined.
And tell me about the festival, because this is a hugely important thing, clearly for you, but also for so many here in Dubai.
So the festival was founded in 2009. Isabella Bulhol is the founder. She's our founder and trustee. And so now it's evolved into, we're 16 years on. We've just had our 16th festival. But the foundation does a series of other things that sort of fills the gaps in the literary ecosystem in the UAE. And we're very privileged to do the work that we do.
And reading is important for all cultures, isn't it? I'm sure you see that. Why do you feel very driven to spread it, the love of it, here in Dubai? Or is it more the other way around, that, you know, there's something about the Dubai culture that drives others to seek it out? Is it important, do you think, for all to read, particularly women here in Dubai to read?
I don't just think it's important. I think it's a basic human need. I think when life gets tough, I think there's no better companion, or there's no better sort of escape or seek for hope or answers than that. You know, when I first joined the foundation, it was soon after my mom had passed away. And in that time, I was reading so much because I wanted to find answers. Like, where is she? What happened to her after this life? And I think that journey led me here. And, you know, when you make room for something in your life, you kind of attract that energy. Yes. And so I was very much reading and writing at that time, you know, writing my feelings, writing all these realizations that I was having about life, about how short it is, about what we need to do with it while we're here. And so when Isabel called me at that time to say that there was this project at the Literature Foundation, and although I had stopped working at that time because I was grieving and I was trying to just understand where I wanted to go next. And so when I walked into this space, you know,
it does take your breath away, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And I felt like, because my mother also grew up in a home like this, and I remember her telling me stories about her childhood in a very similar environment, and so it just felt like one of those serendipitous things, and I was just letting life take me where I thought I needed to be for my healing, for purpose, and I really wanted to do work that was meaning-centric, that had a purpose, and I really found it here.
There may be lots of, one of the things we're doing is trying to get rid of lots of myths and preconceptions that people around the world might have about life in UAE and or in Dubai in particular. And one of those, I think, might be that somehow it's harder if you're a woman to gain knowledge, to read, to be successful. Have there been barriers, do you think? Did your mother talk about those kind of barriers? How have things changed?
Yeah, this is what I hear, but growing up in Dubai, it's never something that we thought about at all.
Which is a good sign in itself, because if you're not thinking about the barrier, then it's probably not in your face, is it? You know?
And I've always had these really powerful women guiding me. So all the way from school, our school principal is someone who's still very close to me today and encouraged us. And, you know, we were Girl Scouts, and she would just put all this energy into us, and that there's nothing we couldn't do. And then funny enough, throughout my career, I've actually always had female bosses. You know, I don't know why I've never had a male boss, but I've always had these women who saw the potential in me and have given me chances. You know, it was never about gender or about anything like that. It was about my qualifications, my passion, and what they saw in me.
This is obviously extraordinarily important to you and a massive passion, but you do have another big passion, don't you? And that's your daughter, Raya.
Right.
Okay. So, you know, you learn you're going to become a mother. I'm sure you feel all the joy that people who want to be a mother feel at that moment. But you also have another baby, this project.
Yeah.
Were you thinking, how is this going to work?
Right. So I found out I was pregnant in the same week. I found out that the board had signed up for me to become CEO.
Oh, no!
So it was a big week.
You kind of had twins on the way that week, didn't you?
And obviously it was too soon, so I wasn't ready to tell.
Oh.
But I was in my mind thinking, okay, if it's happened in this way, I'm someone who believes in divine timing, and I'm thinking if it's happened in this way at this time, so poetically, it means that this was meant for me, and there will be, in the way that I've been blessed with these things, the path will be eased, and I will be able to do this.
But how do you practically manage it?
I didn't want to be apart from her 5 days a week while I worked. So I had the conversation with Isabel and said, how do we do this? And how did you do this? Because she is obviously mother of 5, and now she's got, mashallah, eight grandchildren. And she said, bring Raya every day to work. And I said, how would that work? Like, how would I even bring her every day? And she said...
Especially in those first months when you feel like you can't even go to the loo.
I know.
Let alone concentrate on a job. You must be thinking, this is not possible.
But this is the thing. At 3 months, your child is still feeding from you.
Yes.
At 3 months, your child is still very much an extension of your body because they've lived in your body for 9 months. And both of you are still not ready to part physically. And... so, what she suggested, it might sound crazy, but actually it's the most natural solution because mothers and children need to be together still in that time. And I'm so lucky that I had that experience. And so what we did was we just got a crib and a changing table. I mean, they sleep a lot in the very beginning, right? And so that was enough. I didn't need much in those early days. And she was right next to my desk, and I had to hire a nanny to be with her while I worked, but it also meant that I could go in between my work and also feed her, and go between my work and maybe change a nappy or hold her for a bit. And I went home 2 hours earlier every day, but then I would continue my work after she slept in the evening. So we found a scenario that worked. And I can see that, she's growing into a very confident, strong little girl, and I think it's that infrastructure of me being with her so much of the time, and her having so much love and exposure to amazing people, and growing up around books. She loves books.
She's definitely going to have to learn to read, isn't she? She's definitely going to have to enjoy reading.
Absolutely.
But imagine if she doesn't. Imagine if she decides she wants to be, do only sport or only...
Her dad would love that.
Oh, right, okay. So everyone's happy in some way.
Yeah.
And everybody all around the world, I think, is continuously trying to find a work-life balance, aren't they? But sometimes I think we think that success in business means that other things fall away. So how do you keep such a brilliant work-life balance?
If in my role it was possible, I have the top role in the organization. And if I was able, now I can say I was able because I've done a year, and we've just had a very successful festival. We've had a very good year in terms of results across the board in all of our initiatives. And I was able to see that through, even with a newborn. And so it's possible. We just need to put in the right support systems for mothers all over the world, to support the family. How a mother spends time with their child or raises their child, these children are future leaders. These children are taking the future forward. And if they're not fiercely loved, that reflects on the world that we're going to have in the future.
You yourself are a writer. You yourself are very good with words, as well as celebrating the work of so many others. And you wrote such a beautiful poem for Raya and your dreams for her. And also there's a lovely line in it where you talk about it's through love that we gain eternal life. And I can see it in everything you do, the work you do, paying forward to the future and respecting the past. Would it be possible for you to read us a little bit of that?
Yeah.
It would be wonderful.
So this was originally written in Arabic, so the English translation doesn't do it entirely do it justice. But and this is actually a letter that I wrote to her on the occasion of Emirati Women's Day, and I thought about what I'd like to say to her at that point. So here it is. My precious daughter Raya, you were my dream for years. From the moment I knew I had become a mother, you began penning the chapters of your precious life into mine, with every heartbeat, with every breath. Your smile is the light of my life, my beloved. A day will come when you will realize how lucky we are to be women.
بالأمومة نوجد الحياة ونربي أجيال، وبقلوبنا ننشر العطف والرحمة، وبيدينا نداوي الجروح، بعزيمتنا نتخطى الصعاب. وأهم شيء يا حبيبتي،
Our love is unconditional, and this love is the secret to eternity. Raya, our country, the UAE, has been celebrating the role of women since the day of its union, and our ancestors have paved the path to success for us.
أوعد إن على أرض بلادنا الغالية اللي عندها حلم وتسعى له بيتحقق.
Do you know, soon we will have the first female astronaut who will travel far and explore the planets? I wonder where your ambitions will take you, Raya. Mama runs the Emirates Literature Foundation, the place you come with me to every day. Do you know the joy of working at a job I love is only complete when I see you there, right next to me? And every time I see you there, it's the moment that rekindles my passion and determination to keep on giving.
أشتغل بكل جهد يومي عشان الناس كلها تعشق الكتب والقراءة، مثل ما أنتي يملى عيونك الضي يوم أقرالك قصة البحر الأزرق الكبير، القصة اللي خلتك بعمر 8 شهور تحبين القناديل، أصداف وأبقار البحر، وعارف إنك لهالسبب بتكبرين وبتكونين حنونة على كل كائنات البحر والعالم.
My dear Raya, your mother is an Emirati woman who works wholeheartedly to achieve the vision of our precious country. And God willing, one day you will contribute to this journey. I named you Raya, so you become a symbol of pride and knowledge and sincerity to raise up the flag of our country high up.
I'm going to be making me cry.
I can never get through it completely.
I know, I don't blame you.
To raise up the flag of our country high up and prosperous in the highest sky. Happy Emirati Women's Day, my sweetheart. With my endless love, Mama.
Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Okay, it's not bad in English too.
Yeah, it's pretty good in English too. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Well, what an absolute joy to have the chance to talk with you.
Thank you.
You made me want to go and raid your bookshelves. So you've worked in it and you made me appreciate the wonder of being a woman and being a mother. So
We're so lucky.
which we all know, but
Yeah.
you penned it and described it so beautifully. Thank you so much.
Thank
Just
you,
a
Kate.
joy. Thank you. Thank you. It was so lovely talking with Aslam. I've kind of felt like I'd been bathed in this sort of gentle, loving glow that almost belied how incredibly successful she's been, because she seems to have managed here in Dubai to have found a way to think about what her priorities are, what her passions are, and combine them both. She is not choosing between success at work with family life. She has combined them, and she's surrounded herself by people that have helped her to make that happen. And she has absolutely convinced me that if you want that, you can do that in Dubai. I absolutely loved hearing Alarm's story, but I'm also eager to learn about successful female expats in the city who've moved here and forged a path in a new country. I'm heading to meet Jessica Smith, who I think is going to be an incredible person and very inspirational, and also to explore a place called Mawahib, which I've heard so much about. Jessica's journey is one of overcoming adversity. She was born without her left arm and then had a horrific accident as a child, but she refused to let her disability define her, becoming an Australian Paralympian, an author and TED talker, choosing to live and work in Dubai. So we're in this beautiful space full of bright and colour and wonderful artwork. And this is very special, isn't it, to you and to the community here?
Yes, so we are at Mawahib, which is an art studio for adults living with a disability or people of determination, as they're referred to here in the UAE. It's a wonderful place for them to be able to have purpose and to show their creativity. And as you can see, some very, very talented students here.
And you were involved in it how?
So I am one of 4 ambassadors of Mawahib, and it's such an honour and privilege to be able to represent the incredible work that Mawahib is doing, and it just offers the community of UAE, especially people of determination, a place to be able to come and feel part of a bigger community. And the artworks are, seen all around the UAE and all around the world in some capacity. So for me to be able to have a little role in that is a big privilege.
It's a wonderful, empowering idea, isn't
Absolutely.
it, as well, which is fantastic. Your own journey as a person of determination is interesting because you have some limitations that you were born with and some that happened to you along the way. So tell us a little bit about that. We can see you're wearing a prosthetic limb.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was born missing my left arm, and to this day, there's no explanation as to why that occurred. But the doctors advised my parents to have me fitted with a prosthetic limb from as young as possible to help aid my growth and development. So I was fitted with my first fake arm or prosthesis when I was 18 months of age. And the technology back in the early 80s is nothing like what it is today. And it was awkward to get used to. My brain isn't wired to have 2 hands. So anytime I wore a prosthesis, I had to think so much harder than just assuming that I had to.
Because you were born without a limb. It didn't occur to you in a way, you could see that other people did, but it didn't occur to you a way that that was a limiting factor. You just learned from day one how to do it. So you could do everything without your limb.
Exactly. And with ease. And obviously I've had to learn how to adapt for sure. But, I think it was after this particular accident, I sort of reached up onto the kitchen bench with the prosthesis to take a chocolate biscuit without my mum seeing. But because I couldn't feel or detect heat in the prosthesis, I didn't know that I'd also knocked down a freshly boiled kettle. And as I looked up, boiling water spilt down onto my neck and chest. And, that was a very traumatic time for my entire family. Yes, I have 3rd-degree burns to 15% of my body, and I had to have skin grafting, and I was in and out of hospital for 2 or 3 years. But I think at the time, the medical professionals saw me as broken and incomplete, but I wasn't. I didn't need being put back together, and the aid that they said would help actually created that horrific event. And so what I was able to do after that was prove to the world that I didn't need devices or aids to help me in life. I just had to find my own way of doing it. And that's very much been my approach in everything that I do. So everything from tying my shoelaces to doing my hair to driving a car, it's my way. It obviously looks different to the way someone with 2 hands does it, but it's easier and it's perfect for me.
So all of your skills you channeled not just into showing the world that you could live an ordinary life, whatever that is, but to thriving as a Paralympian.
Yeah.
What was your sport?
Swimming. And growing up, I think there was this drive to prove to the world and to myself that I wasn't going to be limited. I played all sorts of sports, but I think the reason I fell in love with swimming was that I couldn't use any aid or device. It was just me in the water, and I had an opportunity to thrive without the use of anything else.
But there also must have been challenges along the way, because you're a young girl growing up, you've had all this terrible accident, which left you with needing skin grafting and burns, and there you are in a swimming costume. I mean, those sort of burns would have left scars that a lot of people might have wanted to cover up. Did you consciously think of, I'm getting out there, or did it take time?
It took time, and it's really interesting that you highlight that. I think behind closed doors, I was very reserved and very embarrassed and shy, hiding my disability and my scars. But it was as if there was another person or an alter ego when I stepped out onto pool deck. I didn't see it that way, even though I knew that, it's quite vulnerable being in a swimsuit for the world to see. I saw it as an opportunity to show my capabilities, and that was what swimming opened the doors for me. It was that people were finally acknowledging for me from what I could do rather than the perceived assumptions by them and society about what I couldn't.
So you're a young girl dealing with the challenge of recovering from scarring, from serious burns, also, living your life with one limb. How does you then jump from that to the Paralympics and the success you went on to get?
So swimming gave me an opportunity to thrive with who I was. I was obviously good at the sport, and I remember competing in my first school swimming event at the age of 10. And I won the 50 metres freestyle, beating all the girls and boys with 2 hands. And for the first
feeling,
I know, exactly. And that's it.
Wow.
It was that feeling that I never wanted to let go of. So I wasn't even aware at the time that there were races for athletes with a disability. I wasn't aware of the Paralympic Games.
You'd won.
Exactly. And, when you achieve something that others say can't be done, there's such an exhilaration in that. And I excelled very quickly. So by the age of 13, I was selected onto my first Australian swimming team, and I continued to represent Australia for 7 to 8 years, culminating in the Athens Paralympic Games.
And you're now taking that kind of spirit into talking to people and working with people here in Dubai. If you have somebody who's a person of determination, or if you have a physical or a mental or a learning difficulty, I'm not sure that families would think Dubai is the place to go and do that. I'm not sure where actually people would think it is, but have you found it people open to working with those with disabilities?
Yeah, Dubai has been one of the most accepting and inviting and inclusive places that I have ever had the opportunity to live or visit. And I think that that's quite surprising for a lot of people. As a female with a disability, I am afforded so much respect and so many opportunities here in the UAE. And with that, I have to take advantage of that and be able to realise that if I'm able to help steer some of the conversations around the importance of including people with disability, then I have a responsibility to do that as well. But Dubai and the UAE has given me the platform and the opportunity to do that. And I don't think I would have had the same opportunities in Australia or the UK, for example.
What drew you to coming here? Because the family life is also very important here as well.
Yes. It's a massive decision to relocate to another country. And at the time I had 2 young children, and I thought, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make it work? And the family environment here is, again, like nothing else I've experienced anywhere in the world. I am so grateful that my children, I have my 3rd child here in Dubai, have the opportunities that they have, but it's also about safety. And as a parent, that is, the most important thing. And I have that sense of safety here with my young family. To not have to constantly fear the unknown or crime or things like this. Like I myself, I do a lot of running, and I know that's a very simple example, but I can go for a run at any time, day or night here in Dubai, and I don't have to worry at all. When I'm anywhere else in the world, I do have to worry. And just that sense of security, it makes such a profound difference, especially as a mother. But that sense of safety makes living in Dubai and the UAE so significant. And for me in particular, at the moment, with my kids being as young as they are, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
On top of everything else you've triumphed in, you're also now an author. You're writing books.
Yes. So I decided to delve into writing children's books. I was pregnant with my first child. My daughter is now 8. And I saw such a lack of diversity in the characters in the children's books. And I thought, I never had a character that represented me when I was growing up. I never saw disability portrayed in a positive way. Historically, the villain is always somebody who has a disability of some sort. And so I really...
Go back to Shakespeare and Richard III,
Exactly,
don't you?
exactly.
Yeah.
So I struggled with that, with my identity growing up, because how could I feel powerful and beautiful as a woman with a disability when disability is portrayed in such a negative way? So again, I have a responsibility to change that narrative. And so the idea of writing a children's series about myself as a main character, so Jessica on her first day at school, her first swimming event and joining the band, experiences that all children can relate to, but to have a main character who's not only female, but female living with a disability. And for these to be seen as resources that can be fun, exciting stories that children of all ages and backgrounds can be excited about reading.
So you've talked about having the opportunity here in Dubai, not just as a person of determination, somebody living with a disability, although I know you don't see it as a disability, you see it as just you, but also as a woman. Do you feel that you've been able to have opportunity for success here?
Absolutely. And I think even more so because I'm a woman, and I think that's another message that sometimes portrayed, you know, from a different angle about the UAE. But as a female, there are so many opportunities here. And I think the leadership in the UAE are really wanting to support and drive that, and to show that, you know, the way that women are not only portrayed, but are supported and encouraged to work in the profession or the industry that they want is quite profound. And it's not just that as a tick the box. I think that's something so different about Dubai. It's a genuine, it's a feeling, and it's a sense that comes from the top down. And I think if you spoke to any female living in Dubai and the UAE, they would say the same thing.
What's your gold medal now then? What's the thing you're aiming for now? Where's your focus?
It's a good question. I've created a new initiative with my children's books, 1 million children, 1 million books. And the idea and the hope is that I'll be able to read to 1 million children. But I have a group of volunteers around the world that are helping, because I realised the math of that, it would be quite a lot of young children.
You'd kind of get quite a dry mouth.
Yes, exactly. But so far in the last few months, probably from the end of last year, I've read to more than 43,000 children.
Wow.
In person. So
it's
not
going
impossible.
To classrooms,
going to classrooms, going to schools, community events all around the UAE and the world. And so I'd love to be able to read to 1 million children, but more importantly, to have 1 million copies of the books in libraries and on bookshelves everywhere, so that people can have access to these stories that show diversity and talk about kindness and friendship and inclusion and empowering women and boys and girls and men, regardless of what they look like or where they come from.
It's so fantastic to chat with you and to meet you, and I feel inspired by being our president. I've no doubt you will achieve everything you want to achieve, and it's great that you're doing it here in Dubai.
Thank you so much.
Jessica is a hugely impressive woman, and I think she would have thrived anywhere, but it was so extraordinary to hear how she'd overcome so much adversity and how being here in Dubai had really helped her focus in on what she wanted to achieve and given her the chance to do it.
I really want to explore the stories of women in traditionally male-dominated sectors. Barkita Al-Maheri is a true trailblazer. She was one of the youngest Emirati women to take to the skies as a commercial airline pilot, at the same time thriving as an entrepreneur with a successful coffee brand and cafe. And this is where I've come to meet her.
Where did it all begin then? When was the first moment when you thought, I'd love to be a pilot?
When I finished high school, actually, I didn't really know what do I want to be. So I applied in 7 universities and 7 different majors to see which fits me. But there is one element that is across the board in all 7 of them, that they're not in the offices.
So you didn't want to be sitting behind a desk?
No. I applied to be a doctor.
Yeah.
I applied to be a journalist. I applied to be a pilot, a military pilot.
a dentist, and a commercial pilot, so all along. And then I did exams, and they all accepted me. I passed in all of them.
Oh my goodness.
So I did my pros and cons in each and every career, which downsized me to a commercial pilot. But also, when I was doing my research in all the fields, actually, I was speaking to different people. So I was speaking to a doctor, I was speaking to a journalist, I was speaking to, and all of them are females, actually, female nuclear engineer, because that was one of my majors that I applied for as well.
So just on the list was female nuclear engineer.
Yeah, female nuclear engineer.
You realise how incredibly high achieving this is. It's wonderful.
Beautiful. And I was so proud. Until today, I'm in touch with all the ladies. And it was nice how they described about their career. What are they doing? What was their experience alongside in the years that they got their education? How did they feel about it? The fear, the excitement.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when I wanted to become a pilot, there weren't any. And I was looking, and there weren't any.
So this is the one area where there weren't any female pilots
that I could
ask and get inspiration from and advice from.
Yeah. So I remember this couple of conversations along my life that I had with my mother, and I remember them as clear as day, where I asked my mother, and I told her, Mom, there are any other girls? There aren't girls in this field that I can ask. And she said, okay, be the one. Be the one that the girls in the future would ask, how is it being a pilot? How is it when you were studying? How was it now that you're flying? Be the one. So I became the one.
You did become the one, and at a very young age. How old were you?
17.
Yeah.
I was 17, and I started with Emirates via the cadet pilot program. We have a cadet pilot program in Emirates Airline, and started the path with them for education for approximately 3.5 years.
And so you got your license when?
When I was 20.
You started flying commercially when you were 20?
Yes.
Gosh, I mean, there's a lot of 20-year-olds who you're a bit nervous when you get in a car with them, let alone, you know, take flying people across oceans.
The program that we've been in is a phenomenal program. They really train you to be an exceptional commercial pilot with the rules and the training that we've been through. So any pilot that comes out of the cadet pilot program is really well qualified to be behind 777 or a 380 flying across the world.
So you've got your qualifications, but now you have to go into a world dominated by men. I mean, in your class, there were 80 students, weren't there?
Well, in my graduation, yes. We were 80 pilots with me.
80 pilots, and how many were women?
We were 2 at that point.
How was that?
At the beginning, I was a bit scared. My first day, after my first class, I called my mom and I was freaking out. And I was telling her, Mom, I'm the only girl in the class. And her reaction was, so what? What do you want me to do? And I think if she had a different reaction towards what she had at the point where I called her, I wouldn't be the woman I am today.
Have you had some special moments flying as well when you've flown over? Tell me about those.
I was coming back from Singapore, and while at the airport after the security, I came across this little girl. She ran to me and she said, you know that I have a flying log. So she has a book. From the day she was born, her parents were logging every flight she flew in, from where to where, what flight level, what was the speed, how was the flight, where was she seated, and she has a log. She came to me and her eyes were like shining when she looked at me. She said, I've never saw a woman flying me. Can you sign my book today after we land in Dubai? Because she's flying with me. And I said, of course. Then, of course, I took her book and I asked her, do you want to be a pilot when you grow up? And she said, yes, I want to be a pilot when I grow up. This whole flight, this girl was getting out of her seat, walking towards the front and saying, can I speak to the captain? Can you tell him to step out? The entire flight, which was really beautiful. It was really nice. And once we landed in Dubai, I asked her with her family to come in front, and she said, and I signed her book, and I gave her her book. We took a couple of pictures, and then I said, do you really want to be a pilot? And she said, yes, I really want to be a pilot. And I said, okay. Then in this case, I took up my epaulets, the epaulets that we have as pilots. I took up my epaulets and I said, this is for you. Hold on to it until you become a pilot and you return it back to me. She cried her eyes out. She was bawling. She's like, yes, I promise I will give it back to you when I become a pilot. She cried so much. I can't forget. I really enjoyed that moment when she cried her eyes out. She said, yes, I'll become a pilot and I will fly for Emirates and I'll give you back your epaulets. And I said, you go, girl. That's what I wanted to hear.
So when you think back to when you wanted to be a pilot and you had no one to speak to and your mum said, be the one.
Yeah.
There you were.
I love that.
Being the
there's
one.
There's so many beautiful stories behind it. Even if I can tell you, like one of the stories in COVID time, a girl texted me on Instagram, and she said, "B, I am finishing high school soon, and I want to be a pilot, but I don't know how to talk to my parents about it. Like I don't know how to convince my parents that being a pilot is safe." So I sent her voice messages addressing to her mom and dad, and I said it very nicely that the training was nice, the job is beautiful, she get to experience the world, and it's safe. And then last year, I received a message from an Instagram page. I didn't know who it is, and she's like, "Hi, I don't know if you remember me or not. Probably not, but." I'm starting my first day in the aviation school in Dubai. And my parents were convinced, and now I'm starting my training. And I'm very proud of that. So I always make sure that I hold a good responsibility among my shoulders, because not only I represent women across the globe, I represent ambitious women that can thrive something, that can become something. And I try and do that to the best of my ability.
But then you don't stop there. You decide you'll just have a business here and a business there.
Of course, because why stop?
Why stop?
Why stop? You know, I can't just be born to just be a pilot.
You've got more in you,
I have so much more. So I started affiliate marketing. I loved it. But then I was like, okay, I can do more. Then I started a clothing brand. Then I did a cloud kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And I was supplying coffee shops and cafes that didn't have a kitchen. Then the idea of Harvester Coffee Company, which is my current company that I have started in COVID. This is my COVID baby.
It's lovely. This is your COVID baby.
It's my COVID baby. And it took a really nice success. And I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of everything that I did, good and bad. By bad, I mean the mistakes that I did. And it is doing really good at the moment. I'm very happy with the progression that I'm going through. It's amazing.
How do you think living in Dubai has helped you to realize your dreams?
When I grew up, Dubai was very different than today, which actually very impressive. Like as a country that haven't passed 60 years of us being United Arab Emirates, we've reached from the desert of planet Earth to desert of Mars. And I love seeing that people come from all across the world and sit here and talk to me, and they have ideas that they thrive for it to become alive or for it to work, and they believe that Dubai is the place for it to happen, and it did happen. I love that.
You've obviously fulfilled already one big ambition and are well on the way to doing more.
Alhamdulillah.
What do you think it's like being a woman in Dubai? What do you think it's like being an ambitious woman in Dubai?
It's beautiful. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed said a very nice quote in one of the speeches he gave to the youth. He said, your job doesn't know if you're a woman or a man. Your job knows how good you are at it. The airplane doesn't know if I'm a man or a woman flying it. The airplane knows how good I'm flying it. And that's exactly what I'm applying in all aspects in the world. The best ever compliment I get from anyone is when a parents tell me, I wish my daughter to grow up and be like you. It means the world to me. That means, alhamdulillah, I did something good in this world.
What a woman Bakita is. Just like Jessica and Alam, really, hearing the stories is so inspiring. And when her mother said, be the one, there's no one for you to look up to, you be the one. And of course, she's doing it in spades, helping so many other women do what they want to do. And we set out in this episode to look at some of the misconceptions surrounding women here in Dubai, what maybe they can and can't do. And I've been really struck by how all these women say, if you want to do it, you can. If you've got a dream, if you've got an ambition, if you've got something you want to explore, the opportunities are there and the support is there. You just need to have the drive to achieve it.
In the next episode, we journey through the sands of time to uncover the history and culture of this city, guided by the stories of its locals. And we'll take a glimpse at what the future holds.
I'm crossing the creek on a boat native to Dubai called an abra, which literally means to cross. And it feels like I'm traveling back in time.
That's why we're inviting you to a majlis. So the majlis concept in our culture is a quite important thing.
50 years ago, I think even 40 years ago, the main thing here would be, where is the water? Wherever there's water, there's an oasis. That's where life was. That's where the people were. And, we are going to Mars, we're going to the moon to look at those things as well.
Click subscribe for our weekly episodes, and you can also listen on all podcast platforms.